how the early church, the first Christians, treated themselves when they got together for worship. As we have heard, they got together for worship on Sunday morning. Most of them were Jews, and they were used to worshipping on Saturday. But they very deliberately changed the day of worship. They wanted to celebrate the Easter, the resurrection. So they said, the first day of the week, Sunday, we should come together to worship. And that is the resurrection. So resurrection was celebrated every Sunday. Because today we celebrate only once a year. That is sad. Because every Sunday was a celebration for the risen Lord. In fact, not only Sunday, every day was in the presence of the risen Lord. That is their confession. Every day their life is molded, their life is empowered by the risen Christ. And that is the message which they brought to the world. And today we join them in that message. Christ the risen is what is our reality. Now, the passage which was read to you, the two passages, the first passage is from John's Gospel. Now, John's Gospel gives us a picture of the experiences of people who believe in Jesus. You all know that crucifixion was a public event. Everybody could understand, everybody could see the cross there, Jesus hanging down. So it's a public event. But when Christ rose, only He appeared for a few people. Mary Magdalene, the disciples who were on a journey to Emmaus. There is also the story that is mentioned here. And Jesus appeared, the risen Lord appeared only for a few. In other words, the presence of the risen Lord was seen, discerned by the faithful, and not as a public event. Even today, how true this is. Risen Lord cannot be public event. Risen Lord comes into our experience when we discern risen Lord through our faith. And that is exactly what the disciples proclaimed. And they proclaimed it through all kinds of images, because it's a reality that is out of ordinary. Resurrection, that is out of the ordinary. The death was conquered. And so they put a lot of images, lot of pictures. And here in this passage, very strangely and very characteristically, they have said, this risen Lord has broken all our closed doors. And that's my theme for this meditation. Closed doors. And Jesus seems to have, risen Christ seems to have slipped through the closed doors. Now, what are the closed doors? See, we have a lot of closed doors in our life. Closed doors. We close ourselves from others for fear, for anxiety, for security. In fact, we all now prefer to live in high-rising building, in apartments. We want to be very safe. But only thing is, earthquake also comes there. But nevertheless, we want security. We want to be away from people. And always, this is our closed door experience. For fear or for security, we want our doors to be closed. There are many other closed door experiences which you can look up. All of you can think about what are the closed door experience which you come across in your life. I would want to mention 3 closed doors experience, both in history and in modern times. We saw those autocratic dictators living in closed doors. And we were told that just the other day, I think our friend, our leader, Augustine, told us that their president died of heart attack. And he told us that he was a president who lived in closed doors. The characteristic of a person who is living in closed doors is he keeps the power unto himself. And he is surrounded by yes men who can really say that he is doing all right things. And this is what in the New Testament we have a king, King Herod. Do you remember him? King Herod was so afraid when he heard that there was a king was born as a child. And then he said, which child? Where is he? When was he born? He became troubled. He became very restless. And this is what happens always. The dictators wanting to keep power for themselves. They don't want to share power. And they are surrounded by people who are saying, you are dying all right, because they are beneficiaries of this power. And therefore that closed door becoming open. And today also I was very happy that I think last Sunday we prayed for that frail lady from Burma, from Myanmar, Suu Kyi. And we prayed for her. And she won the election. There was such a jubilation around saying that she could also open all the doors. And that was a very great victory. We can all celebrate. All celebration comes when we open the closed doors. Opening the closed doors. Whether it is embarrassed, whether it is powerful structures, we throw open that. The world, that is how one of the resurrection experience. I'm not saying that all. But the resurrection experience comes to us when we open those closed doors. Yesterday, day before yesterday, thanks to Mei, she took us to a fascinating museum of the history of Taiwan people. And in a beautiful way, they picture to us the kind of people Taiwan represents. And one thing that came to my attention, there are many things in that. One thing is, people were under tremendous pressures from foreign forces. And we all know that. Colonialism was one of those systems and structures that kept people under closed doors. And here they were saying how several nations like Japanese, Dutch, and many other people really were colonial leaders trying to suppress the people in Taiwan. But then the glorious picture is they, by their hard work, their sweat, and their determination, brought this nation out. And that's what, again, I would say, that is the sign of resurrection. Today, we can rejoice in that resurrected Lord who brings freedom. So I think closed doors could mean many things. One of the primary things is wherever people are submerged, subsumed under political pressure of dictatorship, then the closed doors are there and God works in that their midst. We also know that there are systems and practices that function as closed doors. We are from India, and one of the most heinous evil we had to live with was caste system. Caste system kept some people under domination, saying that some are born high, some are born low, some are even cannot be spoken of, they are untouchables. And those kind of systems prevailed for many years. Even today there are some threats of that, but to a large extent there is a great change. Again, that's a system. And today, I would even say that some of the people who analyze economic factors, they say market is like a closed door. You know, the whole market that controls our life, our economy, all this functions as closed door. You can only do these things and not other things. And therefore, wherever there is curtailment of freedom, either by oppressive forces or by systems, we can say they are all closed doors. And today our message is, Christ the risen Lord comes and opens those closed doors. Let us thank God. And today we look around, there are many closed doors being opened, mainly because of God's intervention. Humanly we are saying impossible, but then God cannot be controlled, and we thank God for that. I just want to say one more closed door, because we talk about systems and all kinds of history, part of it, but Apostle Paul has a beautiful way of saying that closed door is in you yourself. There is a self-closing door you have. What is that like? He talks about self-righteousness. Self-righteousness as a closed door experience of your life. You simply want to say that I am virtuous. Whatever I am doing is all right. And I don't need anybody else. I don't need anybody, not even God. And these were the people, Pharisees. And Jesus really reprimanded those Pharisees. He took issue with them. There are many passages in the Bible, particularly Matthew's Gospel, 23, verse 23. If you have your Bible, you can turn that. I don't have the page number, but Matthew's Gospel, chapter 23, he talks about Pharisees. Very pungent words. You know, we always think of Jesus being very gentle, very soft-spoken, and all that. But when you read these words, he's no more soft-spoken, not subdued, nothing. He's talking very harsh about those people. Matthew's Gospel, 23. Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites! For you tithe, mint, dill, and cumin, and have neglected the weightier matters of law. What are the weightier matters of law? Because the law says that you should give tithe. Okay, so you are very careful about tithing even small things like mint. You know mint, the vegetable. You also cumin, dill, all these are small things, but you tend to tithe them. But you neglect what is the weightier matters of law. Justice, mercy, and faith. These are the weightier matters. You do all the insignificant things. But when it comes to the weightier matters like justice, like love, like mercy, you are not serious about that. It is the you ought to have practiced without benefiting, neglecting others. This is what we do always. We have no time for people who don't matter. We have no time for the little ones. We have no time for the disabled. We have no time for the poor. And we ignore them. And we think that whatever we do is right. But God commands us and says, no, you are in a self-enclosed existence. You know, self-enclosed existence is what is very characteristic of modern life. Modern life is I and me, I and my family, or I and my group. That's all what matters. Others can go to dogs. And this is the attitude of many people. Very selfish and self-enclosed existence. And Apostle Paul says that is really a closed door you are living. And you need to be open yourself to that. Now, how does Lord opens this closed door? What is the meaning of resurrection in terms of what I'm talking about? Resurrection comes as opening of closed doors through God's infinite love. After all, we are saying, what is resurrection? But the triumph of love over hate and violence. Triumph of love over self-enclosed existence. Triumph of love over all kinds of hatred and all kinds of blocks which we build that keep others out. And that is what is important today. So today the resurrection is a celebration of love. Celebration of love that conquers all self-enclosed existence. And that's what it is today. Let me now take a second image in this passage. First image is closed door. Closed door. And that's what I have. Second image is strikingly present in verse 20 of today's passage. We have a very interesting little remark by the gospel writer. You know, resurrected Lord showed his hands and his side. He showed his hands and his side. What do they represent? What happened on his hands and what happened is on his side. They were the marks of crucifixion, isn't it? The resurrected Lord came with the marks of crucifixion. There's a very profound truth here. We cannot have resurrection without crucifixion. When we say we can have resurrection without crucifixion, that means we are very unrealistic or we are not willing to pay the price. Resurrection and crucifixion comes together. Resurrection comes with the expression of that crucified hand and all the crucified marks. Sometimes we feel inconvenient to do that, but it is this sign of a resurrected Lord with the crucifixion marks has been to assume a very important role in the way some of the handicapped, disabled people looking at resurrected Lord. There is an outstanding book by one of the authors. The title is Disabled Christ. Disabled Christ. And she begins that. Resurrected Lord comes with the signs of disability. And that is a great hope for the disabled. Disabled to see in Christ, in the resurrected Christ, their own marks of disability. Therefore, they have a new faith, a new hope in them. It is a profound symbol. Those who live under the stigma of disability knows that they are rarely accepted fully into the faith and to the faith community. And here, this image of the crucified Lord with the disability marks really challenges all of us to accept fully those who are disabled and those who are living with all kinds of stigma. Stigma because of their handicap, limitations and all that. And therefore, I am quoting something else. Lived experience of persons with disabilities can be effectively incorporated into an image of God. Image of God, usually we have Perfect image. God is perfect. And have you seen Christ's picture? Always very handsome. They put all that picture very nicely, like John's beard, we really keep very trim and all that. And no sign of disfigurement in Jesus. But crucified Jesus comes with all the disfigurement. It is fractured Jesus. That fractured Jesus has brought God's goodness to us. And fractured Jesus brought God's perfectness to our midst. This is what the disability is all about. Disabled God who invites into intimate and transformative encounters that challenge us to break down barriers, overthrow stereotypes, confront our fears, and commit ourselves anew to embody the gospel in this world. Today we are inviting you for this Eucharist, which is really the presence of a broken God. The broken bread represents God who was broken himself for others. And by joining with that broken God, what we are saying, we will be in solidarity with all broken people in this world. Who are the broken people? Not only the disabled, but many of us are broken. Broken because of our many experiences. And it is that brokenness that brings us to this Eucharist. Let this Eucharist be a way of understanding the brokenness of God for us. And we invite you to be in solidarity with all that. Eucharist is an invitation to partner with the disabled God, broken God, for bringing wholeness and strength to all God's children and creation. Let us therefore come together, eat this bread, and let us once again see the broken bread and the bloodshed brings God's wholeness